Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today. You know, I love technology, so thank goodness I'm here, because I think I'm in the right place with thousands of people who also use technology. You think about it, 1 trillion Google searches a year. All of us are doing it. 2 people joining LinkedIn every second. You know how to connect in a digital world. 95 million selfies per day on our Androids. So that's what today is about, this talk is about. The future of work, skills, and careers in a digital world. I'm going to briefly talk about some of the macro trends impacting your organization. What will the future of work look like? What about employees? Will they exist or will it look different? What are some of the new skills that we might need in a 24/7 digital world? And my favorite, is it time for a career selfie? So let me just start off with some of the macro trends. Number 1, you're living to 100. Extreme longevity. Amazing, perhaps daunting to think about it. But you've seen it in the news, right? We can edit our baby's DNA so that they live to 143. Amazing, isn't it? Well, you know what? It is. So I went out in my research and asked over 200 executives, what does it mean to you if you had to think about living to 100? And here's what they said. You know, Tracy, if I'm living to 100, I have to afford to live to 100. And if I have to afford to live to 100, I'm going to have to work until I'm 80. 80? My parents told me I was going to be working 50, 60, or 70 years. Now that's daunting to think about. Why? Because what do they say? If I have to afford to live to 100 and work 50, 60, 70 years, I have to stay educated enough, I have to stay technical enough, and I have to stay healthy enough to be able to do it. On the flip side, your executives in firms, you see it playing out in the workforce. You see multiple generations in your workforce. Maybe you see 3 generations. There's up to 5 coming down the pipeline. McDonald's tells me their youngest employee is 14 and a half, working on part-time on a permit. Walmart tells me their oldest employee is 101. He's a very popular gardener. The realities is that every generation will bring in new expectations, new ideas about work, new ideas about leadership. But how does it play out in the workforce? Usually what I hear is that everybody has different opinions about technology, my favorite subject, by the way. Some generations love technology. Everything should be on an app, so we say. Other generations say, I can't stand technology. I didn't use it growing up. Why do I have to use it in my workforce? And then there's generations in between that say, I'm interested in technology, I'm just not too sure how to use it. It made me think of this interesting video I saw on YouTube. You may have seen it yourself. A young woman gives her dad an iPad for a birthday gift. He doesn't know what it is. In fact, he thinks it's a cooking utensil. Technology. A second force, VUCA. We live in a VUCA world. Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It's an Army War College term. That means that you never know, for example, when you're going to have a snowstorm that's going to take down your supply chain. You never know when you're going to have a cyber attack, right? Or a virus that can wipe out your systems. And you never know, as a corporate leader, when a very small startup coming out of nowhere eats your lunch or a piece of your business. This is how executives are describing what it's like to run a corporation today, to run an organization. It's VUCA, it's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex and ambiguous. And what does it mean? It means that we need new kinds of leaders. People who can be nimble, people who can adjust, people who can think. In fact, we called it transdisciplinarity. A T person. What is a T person? It's someone who has breadth and depth, like the T, with a technology overlay. How do we become these people, right? You ask as an HR executive. How do I develop my employees who might be specialized to become the next generation of leaders? How can I, as myself, as an employee, get the necessary skills that I need to be able to lead myself and my firm into the future? T person. We live in a VUCA world. We need new kinds of leaders. Globally connected world and flat world labor, two forces that I like to combine together. I call it from eBay to Elance. eBay, because it is an internet marketplace, which you know. I have opened a store, I'm sure you have too, in less than an hour and have gone global. Globalization happens like that. Each of us has the ability to start a firm and go global in under an hour. Take international currency. This wasn't possible years ago. Elance is a marketplace of talent. I also use Elance. I find talent from all over the world who help me with video editing, help me with statistics, crunching data, editing papers. People from anywhere in the world, and some for less than $2 an hour. Now that can be scary. As an employee, how do I stay relevant when my competition is not my neighbor next door? My competition is the entire world. As a business owner, as an organization, globalization is phenomenal because I can be anywhere, anytime, quickly, thanks to technology. But it also means that the future of employees could be in question. If you think about it, right now, many firms, you might be doing it in your own company, is actually crowdsourcing innovation. You're reaching out all over the world, just like Apple is for developers, and paying for it, $10 billion, to find the next big idea. Because sometimes we look inside the firm and we realize maybe the next big idea isn't here. So how can I find that 13-year-old with the big idea or the innovation spark coming out of somewhere in the world? So now we're crowdsourcing talent. Very interesting. But we're also filling in on-demand talent. Some examples are, I work at Walmart since they're a keynote. I use GigWalk. I can crowdsource talent to walk up and down retail aisles, checking shelf space, checking pricing, checking branding, right? Why send a Walmart employee when I can crowdsource someone through an app and have them come in and do my work? Field agent, mystery shoppers. I, as a company, can crowdsource people who will do mystery shopping for me. All through an app. I can get hired through it. Phenomenal. Google crowdsources talent, right, when they were developing their mapping. Can I find people in the local area to drive my cars? I'll pay you. Maybe it's by the hour, maybe it's by the day, maybe it's by the project. Okay, so I look at that and say, I can crowdsource innovation ideas. I can crowdsource through apps, local talent to do a lot of tasks. What does that mean for the company? What does that mean for employees? I can innovate through crowds, and I can hire through crowds. So what is a workplace going to look like in the future? Is it just going to be a bunch of technology systems like the Internet of Things and a couple of people to push the buttons? Will firms become operational really skeletons that I can go out and just really crowdsource innovation in real time, all the time? Makes you think about a lot. So now we're in this digital world. We've shifted from a classical world to a digital world. Does that mean that I need new skills? Well, there's a lot of skills that we came up with, but I'll just cover a couple. Number one, new media literacy. 65 to 75% of us are visual learners. Yet we still seem to deliver information in a very flat format, in text. Let me give you an example of multimedia used in retail to engage people. I was in Amsterdam. There were lots of people running downtown, and I was on business, so of course I thought something was wrong. And I asked, why is everyone running downtown? They said, oh, H&M has a store opening during Christmas week, and we're all going down to the store opening. I said, well, why would I go there? I'm on business. Why would I go to H&M? I actually not sure if I really shop there. And they said, no, you've got to come, because this is like no other store opening that you've seen. Let's take a look. This is 3D building mapping. Ugly building comes to life using technology. Starting to get really excited now about the store opening. You got to use the eyeball, look in the window, what's on sale. Incredible. Thousands of people swarming because they're engaged. Multimedia literacy, using multimedia to communicate with people in a three-dimensional, four-dimensional format.
Are you sure you're ready for this?
Now that's exciting. Sense making. Since we talked about retail, I'll tell you a short story. I shop at a store actually called Nordstrom. Last July, I got a phone call from Nordstrom customer service. Hi, Tracy. This is Nordstrom customer service. We miss you. I said, you miss me? They said, yes, we miss you. We miss you quite very much. And I said, how could you miss me if you don't even know me? And they said, we do know you. We know you really well. In fact, we know because you've let us opt in, we've been looking at your data for over 3 years, all your store purchases. We know where you shop. We know the designers that you wear. We know the departments that you go to. And yes, Tracy, we even think we know your special favorite salesperson. And we miss you. We miss you because you always come into Nordstrom every December and August, perhaps because we have our big sales, but you did not come in December. So we thought about it and said, did you not come in December because of holidays? Maybe. Did you not come in December because of a business trip? Maybe. Or did you not come in December because, God forbid, you went to H&M or Neiman and Marcus or Saks Fifth Avenue and we lost you as a customer? So what we're going to do, Tracy, is give you a $100 gift certificate because we want you back, right? Pretty odd phone call to get. This is true. So I call up, who do you call up? Nordstrom HR. And I said, what the heck is going on? They said, Tracy, we live in a world of data. Data scientists. We're bringing them into retail, into Nordstrom, because we want to understand you better. We want you as a customer. We want to know you. We want to know the brands that you use so that we can have a relationship with you. Sense making. How do you make sense of the data? Design mindset. Design mindset is the skill which I would say design your environment to have the most productivity for your employees. I live out in Silicon Valley. Apple started it. They enclosed campuses for engineers to collaborate. Facebook now has a whole city. Google, right? These companies are saying the way that our employees, our engineering employees, are the most collaborative is if we keep them together. But I would encourage you to look at your workforce. If you're in sales, consulting, professional services, does it make sense to design your workplace for the most productivity by putting people into cubicles or requiring them to travel into an office? Or is a distributed model the best model? Design mindset. How do I design the workforce to have the highest productivity from my employees? Computational thinking. This is a skill that many educators want our students to have, right? If you're living in a world that is very computational, we have a lot of technology, we need to be able to compete with technology, not against technology. So computational thinking, how can I formulate problems that I can solve with the assistance of the technologies that I use at work? Now that sounds complicated, but actually it's pretty easy. You use computational thinking every single day. Let me just give you a quick example. I have a big dinner party coming up. I have a long list of people coming. Linear thinking, looking at the guest list from the top. Binary thinking, looking at the guest list from the middle. Parallel processing, how do I make the meal, the meat, the vegetable, the potatoes? Pipelining, two parallel processes together. How do I make the meal and set the table and get the meal out onto the table at precisely the right time? Pattern recognition. Oh my God, nobody ate my dessert. Are they on a diet? Was my dessert bad? Are they gluten-free? Right? What are the patterns that you see? And of course, storage. The party's over, you got to do the dishes in the dishwasher. Fill it up, empty it out. Fill it up, empty it out. Computational thinking. Skills for the 21st century. I'll give you a final skill, novel and adaptive thinking. Here's how I'd like you to think about it. Can you resolve a problem that you're already solving by borrowing technology used in another vertical to help you solve something that you're already solving in a different way? Let me give you an example. 3D printing, right? Gangbusters in manufacturing. Being able to use liquid plastic or metal, print out prototypes, right? Big game changer for us. Now, let's go over to the medical industry. And here is a medical doctor who does reconstructive surgery. He actually replaces noses, chins, ears of people. He's been doing it for years, very successful. He looks at 3D printing and how successful it is in manufacturing and says, oh, I wonder if I can use human collagen, put it into a 3D printer, and actually print a human ear, because it would be so much more safer for me to use that than another material. Let's take a look. Novel and adaptive thinking. Finally, I encourage you to take a look at yourself at a career selfie. When I analyze how much time people spend on their careers, it was unfortunately only an hour and a half a year on career planning. You're living to 100. You'll be working half your life and a third of your day. It's important for you to take a look at your career because you'll have many of them in your lifetime. Some say 7 careers. Your career will look a little bit like this. I encourage you and your employees to make personal life plans and map it out. Make some targets so that you can get there. And I'd like to thank you very much for your time today.